What's going on, YouTube? Excuse me. It's been an extremely long time. Uh, I haven't really been knowing what to talk about, so I haven't been on here. I haven't made any new videos in months. I also been going through a lot mentally and spiritually, so just needed time to get myself together. I had to take a hiatus, but I'm back, and today, I know it's late at night, early in the morning, but I got things on my mind that I want to talk about. So today I just want to talk about addiction and why I stopped smoking weed and the different forms of addiction. So I started smoking weed at a young age. I started smoking weed at 13. I know it's folks that smoke weed younger than that, but that's when I started smoking weed. And before that, I was a very ill child. I was very sick. So I used to go to the doctor a lot, and I used to get prescribed pills like hydrocodone and stuff like that or whatever. So before I even started smoking weed, I was on prescription drugs, prescription pills. And it wasn't like I was addicted at the time. It was just that I was so sick that I I had to take them. So I was used to taking pills to the point to where it did become an addiction. And then I started smoking weed. So throughout high school, I was taking pills and smoking weed. And I never had a problem with weed. I always did it recreationally. And I don't have a problem with weed at all. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a drug. I don't think you become addicted to it. I think you become addicted to needing it or feeling like you need it. You become addicted to wanting it to solve your problems. I see weed as a crutch for people with problems in their lives. They feel like they need weed in order to keep a stable mindset. So as I got older, like, and I was in high school, like that's when I started smoking loud. You know what I'm saying? That's what we call it, loud. You know what I'm saying? But I guess Kush or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The shit that come with no seeds, so it wasn't regular weed. It wasn't Reggie or nothing like that. So now anybody that knows about weed knows there's a difference between loud and Reggie. Loud gets you that high. Reggie, you gonna be cool for a little minute, for a while, probably about 30 minutes to an hour. And then you gonna do what you gonna do. You gonna smoke some more or whatever. You gonna be cool. Loud, you high for a good little minute. You high for some hours maybe. And once I transitioned from Reggie to loud, like it started changing my perspective on the world and stuff like that. So I smoked weed all the way up until March of 2018. So from when I was 13 up until I was 24. So the thing about it is I had never stopped with the prescription drugs. I had never stopped with the pills. And to me, I feel like it did become an addiction with the pills. Like it wasn't so much an addiction with weed as it was I was addicted to the high. I didn't feel comfortable in life unless I was high. So I was addicted to the high. So something happened back in 2014 with pills that changed my outlook on pills and drugs in general, because I was taking prescription drugs that wasn't mine, that were nerve pills that didn't even get me high. Like, I didn't feel the effects of it, not at all. So after I stopped taking them, I started feeling the withdrawal side effects. I started having the suicidal thoughts and the chills and the goosebumps and like the paranoia. The paranoia was the worst because, like, after I graduated high school and after I transitioned to smoking loud, smoking Kush from Reggie, like, I went from graduating high school to feeling like I wasn't going anywhere in life because I didn't have a job, to getting a job, and then feeling like I wasn't going anywhere in life because I didn't have a car, to getting a car. And all the while I was smoking weed, but at first it was a crutch, but then I started to use it as my motivator. Like, it motivated me to do and want more. So after I got my car, I got a house, and this is the beginning of 2014 when I got my first house. And after I, excuse me, after I moved out of that house, I moved back in with my mom for a while. And, like, this is when my spiritual journey started. Actually, I was still living with my mom first when my spiritual journey started. So the situation with the pills happened. And it was so bad. Like, it felt like every day I woke up, I had real bad chills and real bad paranoia, suicidal thoughts. And it felt like I was living a nightmare. So it got to the point to where I didn't go see anybody, a professional, about it, but I prayed on it. And I prayed to God. This was back when I was an atheist, a proclaimed atheist. I prayed to God that if he was real, if he was out there, and he took this off of me, because I was afraid that I would have to live like this for the rest of my life and I would never get over it unless I died. So I prayed on it. And maybe a few days to a week later, it was gone. The feelings were gone. The paranoia, the suicidal thoughts, everything was gone. So to me, that gave me my motivation. That gave me what I needed to know that there is a higher power out there, a higher purpose, a higher being. So I had made promises. I had made promises that I wouldn't smoke weed anymore. I made promises that I wouldn't pop pills, take drugs, do drugs, drink lean, none of that. I stopped everything except smoking weed. Pills. Oh, after that situation, pills were evil to me. I wouldn't even take a Tylenol for a headache. That's how bad it was. That's how real it was for me. You could not pay me to take a pill. So after that, I started my spiritual journey. I started looking into God, who God was, where God was, uh, what was our purpose for being here. I started researching the afterlife, like everything about the spiritual. It fascinated me. So I went from graduating high school to feeling like I was at my lowest point because I wasn't doing anything with my life, and I felt like I wouldn't ever do anything with my life, to getting a job, to becoming stagnant and comfortable where I was, to the point where I needed a change from the people I was around, because I feel like they weren't helping me get to where I needed to be. I feel like they were being stagnant and comfortable where they were. So I needed a change from them to getting my own car, to getting promoted at my job, because I didn't want to just load trucks for the rest of my life, to getting a house. And when I got my house, I was comfortable for a while. I wasn't smoking weed anymore, but I did start smoking cigarettes for a while. Cigarettes. I'm sorry, I have one of them. So I was comfortable. I felt real comfortable where I was for a very long time. And it ain't like I stayed in that house for years. I stayed in that house for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years, before I moved back in with my mother. And all the while, I was feeling like I needed a change. I started feeling again like I wasn't going anywhere in life. I had started back smoking weed, and like I said, it had become my motivator. That's what motivated me. So I ended up getting a house, another house, the current house that I live in now. I've been staying here going on 5, 6 years now. And I saw no problem with smoking weed. I had continued to smoke weed from there on out. And I used it not only as my motivator, but I used it as, what's the word I'm looking for? I used it to help me understand things in the spiritual. Like, I feel like weed is a plant. It's a plant. I know it's a plant. I'm not saying I feel like it's a plant, but I feel like as a plant that it's more herbal than pharmaceutical, is what I'm trying to get at. I feel like it's holistic. It's not a drug, it's natural. And being that it comes up from the earth, I feel like it helps you to connect with the earth and the spiritual. So I used it to help me understand the spiritual more when I was on my spiritual journey. I never stopped my spiritual journey. So whenever I would watch spiritual videos on YouTube, watch the people that speak about the Bible and about Christianity and stuff like that, like it would help me understand the verses that they were reading. And then I never read the Bible for a long time. I never wanted to. I never believed in the Bible. So it got to the point to where I actually started to read the Bible for myself. And after I started reading the Bible for myself, I felt like weed helped me to understand the scriptures. And it really did help me understand the scriptures. So it was good for me as far as me being on my spiritual journey. So I never felt like I was addicted, because I have stopped smoking weed plenty of times. Sometimes for months, sometimes for years. And I did it with no problem. But the last time it was different. Like I was no longer smoking Reggie. I was smoking Kush. I was smoking loud. And after a while, it started giving me that same feeling that I got back in 2014 with the pills. It wasn't a every time I smoked thing, but it was reoccurring and it started to become more frequent. Like, it's the further I got down my spiritual journey, the more it started to happen. Now, I don't know if me being on my spiritual journey made me paranoid or something like that. Like, me being on my spiritual journey and smoking weed, I know weed causes, well, THC causes a level of paranoia when you smoke. So it could have just been the fact that I had become so in tune with my spirit in the spiritual world that the paranoia had a stronger effect on me because I knew so much now. I learned so much from 2014 up into 2018. I learned so much from reading the scriptures, watching spiritual videos on YouTube, reading other spiritual books, the Book of Enoch, the Lost Book of Enki, the Bhagavad Gita, um, just a lot of spiritual books or books dealing with spirituality. And I was not only that, I was looking up characters in the Bible and their representations. I was looking up Greek gods, Roman gods, Egyptian gods, and their connection to the physical world, their connection to the earth, the connection to the cultures that the cultures and religions that worship them. And I was understanding what they really were, what they really were about, what changes they brought about. I was understanding so much to the point to where like people wanted to have Bible study with me. People wanted me to start doing Bible study because they felt like I had a good understanding of the scriptures and I can break them down to a way that they could understand the scriptures. This is how far it got. And what made me stop smoking weed was the fact that I had started researching the book of Revelations in the Bible. I had started researching the rapture and the coming of Christ and the coming of God. And it I've always felt for a while that we were living in the end times, living in the end of days from a early age, from before 2014 with the pills when I was having the paranoia. So back then I never really cared. I was scared of death, so I never really cared to look into things pertaining to the spiritual. But I got over it after I got over the situation with the pills. So the last time I smoked weed, I was in the bed, I was rolling up, watching spiritual videos, reading scriptures, and I got this overwhelming feeling of fear that came over me, that was in me, that was unshakable. And the feeling was so overwhelming and so bad that I threw the blunt. I wasn't even done rolling the blunt. I threw it out the bed and I said, I'm never smoking weed again. That's what the feeling of fear brought about. It made me not want to smoke weed ever again. And I don't know what brought about that feeling of fear because I was having a normal day up until that point. It just so happens that I was reading scriptures and watching videos on the Passover. And I feel like a lot of what they say the rapture has to deal with the Passover. And at that moment, I think I felt like um, I was so in tune with the spirit that I would be a part of the Passover, which the Passover is something dealing with Egypt and putting the blood of the lamb on the front of your doorpost. And if you have the blood of the lamb over your doorpost, then the Lord will pass over your house. And if you don't, the Lord will come into your house and, I guess, kill everybody in there or whatever, kill the firstborn child or whatever the case may be. But dealing with the rapture, the Passover would be something totally different. It's supposed to be the Lord taking his chosen people. So I felt like that time during the Passover that was going to be the time where the Lord took his chosen people out. And I feel like the chosen people have a high spiritual awareness. And at that time, I did have a high spiritual awareness. So I felt like it was coming. And I feel like the fear stemmed from me not knowing anything about the afterlife except for what I learned throughout my journey. Even with me knowing all this, I still had no definite answer of where I would go after I left Earth, after I die. So I had an overwhelming feeling of fear. And it's just the fact that in my mind, I was like, what if I've been wrong about everything? What if I've been wrong about everything I've learned and everything I thought I knew while on my spiritual journey? And then I die and I don't know, like I get to a place where I don't understand anything. I don't know anything and I fall for anything and I end up in a place that I don't want to be. That's a scary feeling. So I went from my lowest, feeling like I was at my lowest back in 2012 to being in a place of comfortability in 2014 to the situation with the pills and feeling like I was back to my lowest point to moving into my own place in 2015, 2016 and actually getting the ball rolling and actually feeling like I was going to go somewhere in life, feeling like I found my purpose through spirit through my spiritual journey and spiritual learning, feeling like I learned what my purpose was in life and feeling like I was going to fulfill my purpose and do great things in life because I never felt like everybody else saw potential in me and saw that I would do great things or felt like I would do great things and saw that I was intelligent and smart and knew a lot. But I never felt like I would live up to it. I never felt like I would live up to my full potential. So, like, I never knew what my purpose was. My whole life revolved around me finding out or figuring out what my purpose in life is. Because I felt like I was going to do great things. I just never knew what those things were or how I would accomplish them. So I finally got to a point where I felt like I knew my purpose and I would fulfill my purpose. And I knew how I was going to do it, but I just couldn't do it because let's be real, let's be honest, living in the physical world is a struggle. A nigga got bills. A nigga got bills. For real. A nigga, you gotta make money as long as you live on this physical earth to accommodate your living situation. Like, you gotta pay rent, you gotta pay light, gas, and water, you gotta pay for food, you gotta pay for gas, you gotta pay for household items, and like the physical world revolves around money and the notion that money can buy happiness. And I, for one, don't believe that. But for as long as I live in the physical, I know that I'm going to need money to get what I need to get done. And after my spiritual journey, I never wanted anything to do with money. I don't care about money. I don't care about material objects. I don't care about new cars, new shoes, new clothes, new houses, TVs. I don't care about new phones. I don't care about all that. I don't care about money at all, except for the fact that I know I need money to get my bills paid. If it was up to me, I would have quit my job. I would have moved out of my house. I would live a free life. To me, it would be a free life because I would know I don't have those type of responsibilities dealing with money, going to a job where I feel like it's a dead end, feeling like I'm a slave, feeling like I don't want this to be my life, you know? So it was hard on me. On the one hand, feeling like I was ready to leave Earth and feeling like I was ready to leave everything behind. And on the other hand, being scared of not knowing what was on the other side, but feeling like I wasn't going to live up to my full potential as long as I stayed at my job, as long as my life revolved around money. So the thing about it is, like I said, weed was my motivator. And weed was my pick me up. Weed made me change my mindset so much that I was such a lazy person. Like, I started caring more about my physical health. I started working out more. I started drinking more water. I started eating less and eating healthier. And it brought me closer to the spiritual. It took me further down my spiritual journey, down the spiritual path. Like, my mind was much clearer, my heart was much clearer, my spirit was happy, my soul was happy, and I was happy. So going from that to not wanting to smoke weed again because of the paranoia and having to deal with the struggles of life, and the only way of coping with the struggles is me smoking cigarettes, because other than that, like, even then, I'm still depressed, I'm still down, I'm still in a low vibrational state, and my mind is heavy, my heart is heavy, my spirit is sad, my soul is sad, and I feel like even with that, it's an addiction. I'm addicted to feeling the low vibrations. I'm addicted to feeling depressed. I'm addicted to feeling sad and sorry for myself. I'm comfortable with feeling like that. And without weed, I'm not comfortable making a change to that. I'm not comfortable stepping outside of the box and trying new things and trying to find out what makes me happy without smoking weed. So to that extent, weed was my addiction because it brought me to a more positive outlook on life. And everything that deals with addiction, it starts with your mindset. It's all in your mind. So if someone says they're addicted to something, it's because they don't have the willpower, they don't have the strength of mind to say, okay, this isn't what I want for myself anymore. I'm going to make a change. I don't want to be on drugs anymore. I'm going to make a change. I don't want to smoke weed anymore. I'm going to make a change. I don't want to be where I am in life, so I'm going to make a change. That's where addiction stems from. Addiction to me is not a disease. It's a state of mind. And if you have the willpower, if you have the faith and the consistency to change your mindset, then you're no longer addicted. Nothing can hold you. Addiction has a strong hold on us. It has a strong hold on our minds because we feel like we can't cope with the struggles of life without whatever we proclaim to be addicted to. And even knowing this, it's still hard for me to make it through life. It's still hard for me to make it through struggles, to make it through my trials and tribulations and feel like I'm actually doing something with my life, because after my spiritual journey and after stopping smoking, like, I felt like there's no point to any of this. Like, there's no point in going to work. There's no point in working to pay bills. There's no point in trying to go out and have fun and try to make something out of a life that's about to end, because like I said, I've always felt like we were living in the last days anyway. But on the other hand, in my mind, I'm like, it doesn't matter if the end is coming. What matters the most is what you do before you meet your end. What you do before the end comes and how you do it. And a big part of me wants to make something out of my life before it ends. But my willpower is not that strong anymore. My mindset is not that strong anymore. I'm mentally unstable, and it's hard for me to want to make changes anymore, to want to better myself and better my life and help those around me like I once wanted to help uplift my people like I once wanted to help out my struggling brothers and sisters and friends and associates and strangers like I wanted to. So there's so much I can get into about addiction. Like, I don't want this video to run long. It's already going on 35 minutes. But you can be addicted to so much stuff other than drugs. So many things other than drugs. You can be addicted to a way of life. You could be addicted to a lifestyle. If you grew up in the hood all your life and you finally have the opportunity to move out of the hood and you do such and you do so, but you still have that hood mentality, you still want to live that hood way of life. That's an addiction. You're addicted to that lifestyle. The fast money, the drugs, the everything negative that comes from living in the hood, living in the ghetto. Like the fights, the arguing with people, the respect and pride that comes along with living in the hood. I'm not going to let anybody disrespect me. I'm so prideful that I can't just let things go. I have to say something. I have to do something, or they just insulted my pride. And that's a negative way of thinking. That's a negative vibration. That's a negative energy. And karma will always get you. Karma will always come back to you. If you constantly live for the negative, you will reciprocate negativity into your life. You won't ever get away from it as long as you're addicted to that way of living. As long as your mindset is stuck on that way of living, as long as you're addicted to that lifestyle, you will never be able to get to where you want to be in life. You will never be able to make positive changes, even if you feel like things are going good, and then suddenly, oh, it's the devil. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I was doing so good, and I try to make changes, and I try to be a bigger person. I try to be the better person, but the devil just won't let me do it. It's not the devil, it's you and your mindset. You're addicted to living like that. Yeah, it might hurt for a minute. You might be hurt and down and all of that for a minute. But after that, what will you do? What do you do? Do you actually say, okay, maybe it's me and I need to make a change? Maybe I'm addicted to living like this and I'm used to it and I'm comfortable with it. So maybe I need to make changes so it won't be a reoccurring theme. It won't be my lifestyle forever. It won't be where I'm at 20 years from now. It won't be how I'm living, and it's not the way I want to live. It's not how I want to live. It's not how I want to be. It's not who I want to be. So it's all about, do you have the willpower to make changes in your life, positive changes? Do you have the bravery to step outside of the box, step outside of the norm, step outside of what you're comfortable with, and actually make changes for yourself, positive changes within yourself and for yourself? Do you really want to feel better with yourself? Do you really want to feel good in your life? Do you really want what's best for you and your family and your friends? Do you really want to get out of the struggle, out of the storm? Do you want the trials and tribulations to become easier for you? It all starts with your mindset. And I've seen plenty of people say, and heard plenty of people say, that addiction is a mindset. I'm sorry. I, I got too much going on in my head right now. But I wasn't trying to say addiction. I was trying to say, people say that depression is a mindset. And I know that all too well. I know it all too well that depression is a mindset. But at the same time, we're so used to having coping mechanisms like weed and other drugs, and taking our aggression out on other people and other things. We're addicted to it, to where if we don't have that, then we don't have the strength and the will to make a change for ourselves. So we're always depressed. We're always sad. We're always mad. We're always down. So this part of my journey that I'm in right now is figuring out the answer to the question, which is, how do you overcome depression when you don't have a viable coping mechanism? When you don't have your old coping mechanism? How do you overcome the struggle when you have to find a different coping mechanism? When you have to change your mindset without something to help you cope? And I still haven't found the answer yet. There's so much I want to say, but I might leave it for another video. I'm going to try to get back into writing and writing poems, writing my book, making more YouTube videos, making music. I'm going to try to become more positive, and hopefully I'll find my answer. I'll make positive changes. Hopefully I'll get back on the path to happiness. Cause right now I'm still on the pursuit of happiness. Okay, it was a pun intended. I was gonna say no pun intended, but this is just a look into the mind of a Gemini, and I want to thank you all for listening, because I had a lot that I wanted to get off my mind, a lot I wanted to get off my heart and my chest. So hopefully it won't be too long before I make another video, and hopefully you all understand me a little better, a little more, and you actually like listening to my videos, and hopefully I inspire people to do better. That's all I wanted, and that's all I want in life, is to inspire people to do better and make changes, positive changes within themselves and for others. Each one teach one. With that being said, I'm signing off, and until next time, thank you for listening.